changes you can make with hypnosis can most definitely last forever. And when I'm working with clients, I always tell them there are two things you need to do to make this work for you and to make this new programming stick. Number one is that you need to listen to the recording that we make together every day for about 2 weeks. It is through repetition that we are able to create new neural pathways in our brain. In other words, new habits, new rituals, routines, things like that. We truly are creating new circuitry in your brain. And that, as you may already know, is done best through repetition. If you think back on other things you've learned how to do in your life, things that you've been good at, practicing the piano, learning how to do algebra, cooking, doing, gardening, anything like that, is through the repetition that we create the programming, the circuitry in our brain. So I said 2 things you need to do. Number 1 is listen to that recording every day, just for about 2 weeks. That's all it takes. The second thing, which is equally as important to make these new changes permanent for you, is to be very mindful and avoid the temptation to go back and talk about the old ways, to go back and talk about the old problem, the unwanted habit. For example, if you and I were working together to create new sleep habits for you, we would make a recording for you and you would listen to that at bedtime in the bed. And as you listen to that in that wonderful theta state, as you drift off to sleep, you would reprogram your brain to create a new patterning in your brain for a new sleep habit, a new sleep pattern. So that's really great. Now, however, during the daytime, if you find yourself talking about the old pattern and reminiscing over how much you used to hate the fact that you couldn't sleep at night and how it was so hard to go to sleep, that you would stay up for hours and hours and you would worry about the kids and you would, get up and you would pace the floor back and forth, etc., etc. If you're going back and reliving the problem, you're activating the old neural pathways. And you cannot walk on 2 paths at the same time. So the goal is to make these changes last forever. And we can do that quite easily if you will follow instructions from me and avoid the temptation or the inclination to discuss the old ways, the problems, the unwanted behaviors. Just let them die on the vine, right? So that's the answer to this then is yes. You can make these changes last forever. You can also sabotage yourself, so be aware of that. And when you're working with me, if you find that the old problems are starting to creep back in, just pull that recording back in and listen to it again daily for a couple of weeks. And if you find that you need to come back in for another session, sometimes that is very helpful. But for the most part, yes, these changes will last forever.